Hello everyone, Kenti Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are in ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. This is DoKenti, my main character. He's kind of the everything, the master of all. And so today we are going to do some roaming around and collecting surveys. So this is in some ways going to be kind of the grand tour of Tamriel. We're not going to every single zone, but we're definitely going to quite a few zones. So I am in Ralka. Quick inventory here just to see what the project is. We're probably going to break this up into, well, I don't know yet. So all of these surveys, so to say I have a lot of work to do here is putting it mildly. And all these down here. So all these are the woodworking surveys at the bottom, and these are the mix of everything from alchemy surveys to blacksmith surveys to clothier surveys to enchanter surveys. So I got definitely a boatload of surveys to take care of here. So there's a bazillion ways that we can do this. It's kind of random. Do I go alphabetically? Do I go by the sheer quantity? Do I go by the start at the bottom and go up? So I think for sake of just because we're going to do it alphabetical today, even though that kind of leaves the quantities are upside down. So we're going to go over here to Alakir. So we have a survey over here we need to pick up. There should be, I should have two of them somewhere, but they may actually be sitting on top of one another. So with that said, we will zoom out to the Alakir Desert and get sand in my paws. We may stray from our alphabetical thought process because I've got quite a few of them that have 1 and 2 and 3, and we may actually knock the 1, 2s, and 3s out before we get into the 5, 6, 7, 8, and 11s. All right. So I have seen this place before. The easiest way to get up here is to literally go into town. And then circle around. Dead guard. At least I think I've been here before. I seem to know these people. At least they're not hostile, so that's this is a good thing. I suppose I could have just, run over to this side and then gone through. It's kind of one of those, 6 and 1/2 dozen others. You've got a bunch of different directions you can go. Got these the zombies in here, and collecting this is an enchanter survey. So I always do the count just to keep myself coordinated. So the surveys always have 6 items, and you can see them coming up on the bottom of the screen there, the bottom right corner of the screen. So this is number 2, number 3. Here's number 4. I see one on the other side of the rock here. There's the number 5, and that brings number 6 into view. At least I think that's number 6. Yes, it is. Now, a couple things I should do now that I'm actually in the middle of combat. So the long fin pasty with melon sauce. So this is an enhancement for everything. So DoKenti is mostly a stamina based. He's a Nightblade, or sorry, Dragon Knight. So he's got a lot of stamina based stuff, but some magicka based stuff, because after all, a Dragon Knight is somewhat magicka based. So the only other thing I could do is the experience thing, and I do have one experience scroll here that you know, you gain 50% experience. So I don't know. We'll go ahead and do that. Just because. And then at that point, so the only downside to combat in the current mode, if you look there at the top of the screen, so this sword is actually a resultant. Let me see if I can show you here. So Morkeldin, which is it's a set, a craftable set. It's a special set. I think this is a number 9 or a 9 trait set. And when you have 5 or more, if you look on 5 items, and let me read it for you. When you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you have a 10% chance to summon an animated weapon to attack your enemies for 15 seconds. The animated weapon's basic attacks deal 5,340 physical damage. So anything that is immune to physical damage obviously is going to be immune to your weapon, but the way I look at it is another 5k of damage for a freebie is a good thing. So that's why I went with Morkeldin. Alright, so off we run. Now there's a couple ways that we can go through here. Because I'm kind of bouncing around, then knowing where to bounce around to next is a good thing. So wandering ultimately back to the either the same or a different way shrine. Now I do have Luminary Teleporter. So let's bring up the map and see if we can find. Okay, actually I do see it. It's under the tree over here. Oh, let me get my mouse back on the world here. So it's under the tree. You can see it here. So we're gonna. I'm not sure why that didn't. So let me try that again. All right, and so we're gonna go to the Bergama Way Shrine. Zoom across. Which will take us pretty close to, I think that was a clothier survey, and we're going to be seeing this. I apologize for that. For those of you who play a lot with ESO, you're probably very aware of those errors that come up. Not really anything you can do about it, because those are 9 times out of 10 you're at the fate of the add-in creators. So just kind of surveying to see. Hey, always on the lookout for extra stuff. So whenever I'm roaming around, I don't want to say, you know, legitimate adventuring, because this really isn't. But I tend to literally take everything that's not bolted down. So we have a snake over here. So could I be using special maneuvers and everything? Yes, absolutely I could. But DoKenti actually has a pretty fast regeneration rate for a lot of this stuff, so, you know, why waste the stamina or magicka when I know I'm going to whittle the snake down before it's going to do anything to me. So it's kind of one of those things. I mean, I can't say that I'm an expert player. I'm a casual gamer. This is, ESO is the only MMO that I play, although people have said I should probably branch out into a real MMO. So without turning this into a rant on what I hate about ESO, there may be some legitimacy to and again, like I said before, one of the downsides, actually I've got sidetracked, but one of the downsides to combat right now in ESO is the fact that at the moment my ping rate is super high, and that's not the fault of ESO. That's actually the fault of me. I'm uploading right now, so uploading takes quite a bit of bandwidth. I have at this moment do not have an incredible amount of bandwidth to play with. So heard something squeaky. That could be my little guy here. My little Dromothra kitten. Alright, so we have, well, we got barrels over here, so gotta take the barrels. They're not bolted down, so they're mine. And, so other than the lag, and lag and combat really never go along well together. So I kind of, I do really need to be careful because combat, you know, is one of those, well, strange things that obviously if you are not in control of your character, then interesting things can happen. So, is there a reason I'm collecting everything under the sun? The answer actually is yes. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So we collected that. We have a water skin here, a water hyacinth there to my right, and two more collectibles. And yes, I am aware that I'm kind of wandering around what I was originally coming over here to find. So here's a Nernroot. Nernroot not used to be a very important thing here. So over here, Lady Smock, that's always a good thing. Okay, another water hyacinth over here, and actually quite a few. There's one across the water to my left. Water skin. Okay, so let me show you why I'm roaming around here. Achievements, crafting, general. So, Grandmaster Crafting Harvester. Harvest 10,000 items. I am at 8,146. So I need 1,800 and, you know, so clearly I got a long ways to go, but I want that achievement. So as I go along here, and it does take a while to get that one. So that's one of the reasons why when I'm actually roaming around in the world with DoKenti, I'm literally just picking up everything I can find. So every time you pick something up, even if you manage to harvest, 3 or 4 of them at a time, you really only get the credit for one. And I see a blue over here. So I actually see 2 of them. So DoKenti has everything. So when it comes to perks, he's got the max on everything, or the passives rather. And the reason for that is this was the first character I ran through, so I was wanting to get him worked up to max so I could do crafting. Basket. Crates. Now, I totally suck at picking locks, so I have a cheater. Because lockpicking in the game here does not work like lockpicking in real life. I think you're all wondering, okay, am I a thief or what? And the answer is no. Well, the answer is yes. I was a thief once, but not anymore. I eventually grew up and became a legitimate, productive society member. But I did work as a locksmith. So actually being a thief was a very good aid to being a locksmith because, hey, I understand things, right? So I did see, there it was. So really just figuring out where things are. So this is one of the reasons why when I'm adventuring around, it usually takes a whole lot longer than I ever intended, because I can't really call it sidetrack, because after all, that's what adventuring is really about, right? It's just figuring out where you want to go and having a good time doing it. In my case, it's okay. Didn't want to do that. Really, after that, I'll pick up the dragon thorn there. We got some barrels here, so we'll go ahead and pick up the barrels, and then actually head towards what we were originally looking for. So we'll loop back around here. These guys are all back alive. We'll go ahead and alright, well, got a few things there. Here's all the bright shinies. This is actually where I wanted to be. I was thinking, wow, there's a whole lot of stuff over here, and yeah, there is. So this is the survey here. You can always tell it's a survey by the lush prefix on everything. So your trap. There is a water skin to my left. Now behind me. Another. So, picking these up does no good. Now, let me caveat that by saying if you dismantle these, you're not going to get anything out of them. However, dismantling will give you experience points for them. So the nice thing about the experience points when you're working a character up is that that's part of your leveling. So I do collect in-world stuff because I give it to my junior characters who can then no response. Alright. Alright, so somebody picking up the water hyacinth there, and I'll go grab this one. Not because I need it, but because I need it. Alright, and they picked up both of these things over here. So we're pretty much done with this area. They just walked by that water. So I'm gonna pick it up. Thought I was gonna pick it up. The jackal to my left, and a snake in front. Now, you can see 128 came up over on the champion points there on the right side. 128 points in the grand scheme of things is not very much, but 128 points is 128 points, so I'll take it. And again, a sack here. The sacks and barrels and stuff do not count towards the pickups. The only thing that counts towards the pickups are the when you're picking up reagents and water and those sorts of things. So the things that you would I want to say using crafting, but that's a little misleading because the stuff in barrels, obviously food and that sort of thing, is also used in crafting. All right, dragonthorn up. Yeah, I was hoping I'd pick that up before the snake got here, but oh well. No biggie. A snake is more experience. So there's 3,972 experience, in fact, which is good. So the neat thing about champion points is that your champion points are gained by everybody. So, and what I mean by everybody is all of your champion characters, which is to say all of your characters who are level 50 are now eligible to gain champion points. So all of their experience points goes into champion, and it is a pool. So for example, you see at the top center of the screen there, DoKenti is working on champion point 448, and he is 96% complete. So that 3,014 314,000. I can actually count. 314,473 is how many champion points I need, or experience points I need to get to champion point 449. I don't see anything else here. All right, so if I don't get sidetracked, then we'll head over to the Way Shrine and be on our way. So this was Alakir, so I'm gonna mark off Alakir. which is done. And let me see if I'm going down the list alphabetically. Then the next one is Aradon. So we might as well head over to Aradon and have a fun time. Having said that, let me bring up Aradon and find out where it is. So this is Skywatch. So it's going to be literally outside of Skywatch, and I do see a second one in Aradon. Oh, there is. Sorry, I wrote it down. Didn't remember it, but I wrote it down. So we'll do the Skywatch one first, and then, you know, unfortunately, you usually have to wander back to a way shrine to get to where I need to go. Again, sorry about that error. Not a whole lot I can do there. All right, so we roam down here. So some people have asked me why I don't use my mount, and I'm maxed out on training for the mount here, so why don't I use it? The answer is because there is so much stuff out here in the world now that it's almost pointless to get on a mount, and because you'll be roaming, or I will be roaming because I want to pick up everything. I will be roaming, and you know, 5 seconds into the roaming, for example, so I've kind of given up on using mounts for the most part. That's not entirely true. But, so I've played enough ESO that I can actually, you know, see things, even when they are not necessarily highlighted. And again, I'm totally roaming off track, but there's a goal, there's a method to the madness. Because ultimately, I really do want to get, I mean, it's useless in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, being able to say I am a Grandmaster collector is kind of neat, and I don't know if that's really Grandmaster collector, Grandmaster idiot for being so completely OCD that, you know, you can get that. So this one might be a little bit of a challenge to get up to because for whatever reason a house cat can jump from your floor onto the top of your refrigerator, but a Khajiit cannot jump a meter off the ground. Things that make you go WTFO. For those of you who do not know what WTFO is, what the over? So, military version of WTF. I'll let you fill in the F part. Alright, get back on track. Back on track. Get my ADHD here under control. Actually not called ADHD anymore. Called ADD stage 3 or something like that. I haven't studied up on all the legitimate psychologic terms in quite a while. So I still call it ADHD. For those of you who are acronym illiterate, that would be Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. I'm actually not ADHD. I do get sidetracked easily, and it's not so much that it's sidetracked as my mind is going, this is just part of my curse. Having a 150 IQ has its good sides and its bad sides. my brain is constantly going in 150 different directions at once, and that can be a good thing, but it can also be a very bad thing, because sometimes keeping focus on what I need to be keeping focus on does not always happen efficiently. Especially in ESO when there's lots of shinies. And the mushroom over here. So I tend to pick up everything really for two reasons. Number one is you just you can't have enough materials. You know, there's always you always want to have materials. So collecting everything that you find in the world when it comes to materials is a good thing. The other side is that there's that achievement that I wanted. Alright, so this one is way the heck down here. So the closest way shrine is this one here. So we're gonna bounce through and get on to the roadway here. I could actually jump on the mount, because I've been through here enough times that there really aren't a whole lot of possible pickups through here. So for those of you who are not familiar with Aradon, you end up going through Aradon. It's the first zone of, well, not the first zone, but the first major zone. If you're playing through in the Aldemary Dominion faction, and whether or not you're in that faction or not is eventually you'll play through all three faction zones. Zone groups, I guess, is probably more accurate. But these guys, and they're friendly to me right now, because I've already been through here a long time ago. But these guys are hostile when you first go through and deal with everything, but because everything in the game now is scalar, everything is scaled, and I won't go off on a rant on why I hate scaling. I've not met any players that like scaling, so I'm not sure why ESO thinks that was a good idea. But so you see that everybody is a 160. So everybody now, even a mud crab, will actually fill a grand soul gem for you. So if you have a boatload of soul gems that are empty, then you can actually roam down through here and attack all these guys, and every one that you win, you can fill a soul gem. Obviously you have to cast the magic to do that, but so this is actually, I don't want to call it a good grinding place, but there are an abundance of those ghost guys in this area. So alright, I stand corrected. There did not used to be this many things to collect on this path. There was like 4 of them. But more proof as to why I can't ride, because I will have to get off my mount, come over, pick this up, get back on the mount, get off the mount, pick everything up again. So there should be one over here, but there isn't. But that's alright. The survey is up here and around the corner. I just have to go through this. Well, I can either go through this this little rock bridge or around the corner here. There's a bear over here as well that you can do something with if you really want to. Suppose that I could actually change things up a little bit, being that I am fighting. So let me go into my skills menu here. We're going to bring up World and Soul Magic and consuming drought. Did that actually? Yeah, it did. Alright, so the advantage of that is that I can punch up the soul trap and fill my so I have 113 soul gems on me, and I have 36 that are empty. How can I rattle that off the top of my head? Well, if you look at the toolbar up there at the top, that's part of the wicked system. Up there at the top in the center, it actually outlines how many soul gems you have, and alright. So why am I going over here? Well, there's a mud crab right here. So I'm gonna zap the mud crab. And fill a soul gem. There we go. Soul gem filled. And now I have 34. There's a wolf over here. And stuff over here. So I'm gonna sneak up on the wolf, cast my magic here, and then finish him off. And then collect the very few things that are over here. Alright, another wolf. So we gain very little experience by these things, obviously, but experience is experience. Series of mud crabs here, and again, not a whole lot of experience point value here, but in fact, let's see how much the mud crab is. A whole 128. The other side of it is that, so there's 4 rubido hide scraps, and those actually are valuable. Obviously, if you do a lot of building, then you got some stuff there. I was afraid that I was going to have to recast, which is no biggie. But, alright, so I think I've done enough killing and maiming of helpless and defenseless mud crabs here. So, alright, so that was Aradon. So let me pull up the map and make sure we're clear. Yes, we are. We did 2. So let me mark that off my list. And then figure out where we want to go next. So I have a couple places with only one: Stormhaven, Rivenspire, Grotwood, and Shadowfen. So let's see if we got any of those. So let me go ahead and refresh. So definitely have a bunch in Craglorn, Grotwood. So abandoning our philosophy here, let's head up to Grotwood. So the downside to the Luminary Teleporter is that it does not, obviously it shows the zone, And so Luminary Teleporter, one of the features of the game is that you can teleport to guildmates at any time. And what that means is you will teleport to the closest way shrine to your guildmate at any time. And it is free, it does not cost you any gold to do that. So Luminary Teleporter actually is really cool. It still works. It has issues every once in a while, but it does actually still work very well. It does not error very often, and I think the error is more of a local thing than anything else. So I highly recommend Luminary Teleporter as an add-in. It does give you some flexibility that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Within the tree, how would one find him? The tree is so large.
All right, so we can see. I was thinking I had more than. Nope, it is just one. So the closest way shrine appears to be the Cormount way shrine. Yeah, so I guess we'll go there. Alright, so forgive my momentary pause here. I'm going to go refill my coffee and go from there. So I will be back momentarily. Alright everyone, I am back. Sorry about that, but coffee is a very important thing. For those of you who have spent any time in the military, you know how important coffee really is. Alright, so I guess ultimately I need to follow this roadway out. Nothing over there. Some of these places you wander back through and they're hostile again. So it's just a matter of kind of floating around and seeing torchbug. I don't really do fishing, so I don't necessarily collect insects. The other side to the insect collecting is that it does not count towards your harvesting. So it's kind of one of the downsides. To me, an insect is an insect. It's something that you could use. Okay, traveling on down the road here. I'm gonna avoid the boss. A lot of the bosses were edited, and I don't know about Auradon specifically, but I'm by my lonesome here, so I don't think I would be able to take on a boss. And this first. Didn't see that. Of course, how could I? It's in the little alcove here. Alright, so, didn't expect to be taking them down that fast. Alright, another enemy here, so, more to pick up. So wander around the corner of this rock here, which will put me into these folks here. There's alright, so there we go. So I got one, but not the other, because that one stepped away and took a little longer to get to where I wanted to go. So I could either continue on or just march on around, and I probably ought to march on around. There's so much stuff. Oh, fighting in high lag. What fun. Alright, get my bearings on the torch bug is right there, so on the survey we have 3 bats down here. Been the most intelligent thing I've ever done. I think I missed out on all 3 of those soul gems. Alright, off to the survey again. Wasps over there. It'll be hard to avoid them. Here's some rubidite. This is another thing I hate about scaling. Because everything scales to your level, then everything. So, reality, I'm in Grotwood. Okay, that's I think that's the middle zone of the 5 for Aldemary Dominion. Because I am a master crafter, is this Maik? This is Maik. I've already got Maik everywhere, so not a big deal, but I like Maik.
Maik wonders, are the skeletons in Minotaur graveyards half man or half bull? Why the need for embassies? Mike thinks all are ambassadors, wherever they go. Some like to buy the whole meal. Others want to pay for what is on their plate. Mike just prefers to eat.
So you only get 3.
Come back later. We can talk some more.
But one of the achievements in the game, for those who don't know, is actually finding Maik everywhere. And he can be anywhere in any zone. With the caveat, let me go ahead and bring up the map. So If you have destinations as a mod, there are four places in Aradon. Or sorry, we're in Grotwood. Let me get my bearings. So, I like Maik. Is the name of the achievement. So I'm at this one here. There's also one that's right behind me, and then there's one down here. So there's actually 4 possible locations in Grotwood where you would find Maik. And as you go through all the zones, there are 3 or 4 or 5. And when you find him, you talk to him, and then you get the achievement for that zone. And the goal is to get the achievement for all over Tamriel. So if you're curious as to where you are, exploration in general, and I like Maik. So in this case, and it's by zone, so it's all the legitimate zones. So once you have that, it's only worth 15 points, but I mean it's fun. It's just something to do, and there's a lot of these that you can find. Tamriel Master Cave Diver. So I still have the Cyrodiil stuff to go, and that's because I just don't go to Cyrodiil. All right, so I was thinking something. There it was. Somewhere up here was more rubidite. So I was babbling about scaling. So I'm a master crafter, and because everything scales to my level, then I usually can't find low-level materials. So I have to buy all my low-level materials. It used to be that you could go to the zone where those particular materials would be, and get them. You can't do that anymore. Now you have to buy everything. So normally I don't like killing the Sench. Because after all, they are cats. I like cats. I like all animals too, but I have a very much an affinity with cats. So this should be the only one. We are in Grotwood. This should be the only survey in Grotwood. This is number 5, and number 6 is right here. I like to keep count because most of the time the blacksmith surveys, the clothier surveys, they're all close to one another. The enchanting surveys, however, are not close to one another. They can be quite a bit spread out. Alright, so let me mark off Grotwood, and we are looking for Stormhaven or Shadowfen. So let me bring up my map. We're going to refresh Luminary, and we are looking for nothing. Alright, so we're going to teleport again just to get to a way shrine. Will save me having to wander back to getting to a way shrine. So in this case, it dumps you at a way shrine, and then I can use the way shrine to go to any other way shrines. So in this case, we're kind of doing the ones now. So Shadow, Stormhaven, Rivenspire, or Shadowfen are the 3 choices here for the ones, which is to say one survey. So let me get the error off the screen for you here.
Within the tree, how would one find him?
All right.
The tree is so large.
So let's do Stormhaven. So roll down Stormhaven, which is over here. So let's go to the Soul Shriven Way Shrine, and we'll zoom across for that one. Okay, I don't know what the little sparkly thing is, so I'm gonna go ahead and look. Increased experience. I have another 9 minutes on the scroll there. All right. Well, I see. There's a wolf over here, but more importantly, there's there's a couple wolves over here. Didn't really need to strike at that with my sword. Alright, so continue on. Let's see, there's some other stuff here. White cap. And we have the survey. Okay, there's one. Two. Three. Four. Six. Kind of looking around, just, well, obviously I pick up everything in sight, but yeah, I hear wolves, so let's go ahead and two soul gems out of that one. Oh, three. Not sure how I pulled off three, but whatever. I'm happy. Oh, more rubidite. Alright, so that is Stormhaven, right? Okay, so we have Rivenspire and Shadowfen. Rivenspire and Shadowfen. Oh. It says we still have Blacksmith Survey. But it is not on my map. Ah. Let's try again. Maybe there really were two of them here. Yep, it is showing up, so I guess so. The challenge with multiple surveys in the same place is you have to go away from them, which is out of, and I want to call it zone, but game zones. So obviously the the game engine itself cannot load up every single element of the game simultaneously. So what I mean by zones is you have every zone is broken up into like compartmentalized spaces within the game engine. The environment is broken up into these little segments, and so you have to get outside of that little segment before the survey will reset, which is to say before you can come back and get that survey again. Alright, so I'm in Stormhaven, and I somehow screwed up. There's Stormhaven. And so there's actually 2 in Stormhaven. So that's the challenge when you are working with, you know, if you end up with 2 surveys that are actually the same survey, and they'll stack in your inventory, but it means you have to wander outside of its little segmented zone before it will reset and let you get it. Okay, so that one has indeed vanished. Alright, so we are en route to either Rivenspire or Shadowfen. So let's go ahead and look at Rivenspire, which is over here, pretty close in to a way shrine, so not a problem. So I think just for the sake of making things a little easier, because not everybody just wants to watch Survey Collection, I'm going to go ahead and break here, and we'll come back with the continuation in the next episode. So in the interim, this is Kenti Tiger signing off, and we will see you next time.